Do you remember the good old days before the tragic death of college football? Back before players had the audacity to make money or choose where they play. Today, we're diving into the so called ruin of the game. Spoiler alert. The sport is actually better than it's ever been. Let's get into it. What's good, Tailgate Nation? Don't forget to hit that follow button, subscribe, leave a like, drop a comment even. It helps us keep the conversation going and reach more sports fanatics like yourself. Stay connected, stay hyped. Before I dive into the fact that many of these players who make this sport great actually come from impoverished communities, and we'll circle back to that in a bit, let's tackle this narrative that transfer portal and NIL have somehow hurt high school recruiting. How exactly? If your argument is that colleges are prioritizing more polished players, guys who've been through a college system, then sure. But why is that a bad thing? Development and competition should be embraced, not avoided. Now, if you're claiming colleges simply aren't recruiting high school players anymore, that's just false. Most schools are still taking 20 to 30 high school recruits per cycle, which is right in line with the historical norm. The difference? They're also taking 8 to 15 transfers now. Here's the real issue. Youth coaches today and parents are fostering a generation of kids who don't want to compete. They want everything handed to them. And when they get to college and realize they're not top priority anymore, they're ready to quit or blame the system. My advice: high school programs need to adopt a more collegiate approach, like what we see at schools like IMG, St. John Bosco, American Heritage, or Bishop Gorman. And no, I'm not talking about private school budgets. I'm talking about preparation. Focus on study halls, meal plans, strict schedules, and tougher academic standards. If you want your athletes ready to compete at the next level, start building that mindset and structure early. Now let's talk turkey. It's downright hypocritical for schools that have been raking in millions from ticket sales, alcohol sales, sponsorships, brand deals, and revenue sharing to turn around and claim that players wanting a piece of the pie are somehow a problem. And before you drop that tired comment about athletes being lucky to get a scholarship and an education, save it. Now, hey, we're going to leave it there for the algorithm, but let's be real. Colleges aren't strolling into Liberty City, Oak Cliff, Compton, or the backwoods of Alabama just handing out scholarships out of the goodness of their hearts. These young men are risking life and limb to earn these opportunities. The idea that a college scholarship is adequate payment for the billions in revenue these schools are collectively pulling in is not just disingenuous, it's ridiculous. Okay, let's pivot. I'm not here to place blame on the conditions many of these athletes come from. That's a conversation for another day. But the reality is, a lot of these young men are coming from impoverished backgrounds, often raised by single parents. And yes, some are spending their NIL money on jewelry, cars, clothes, and other things. But let's be honest. That's what happens when someone who's had nothing suddenly gets a little something. What often gets overlooked, though, is the good they're doing with the money. Many of these athletes are now able to help their families in significant ways. Sure, they've made it out. But what about the younger sibling who's falling victim to gang culture because Big Brother isn't there to guide him anymore? Now, maybe that athlete can help. He can send his family to a safer community, get his brother in a safer school district. It's easy to criticize when you've never lived in these environments. And let's not forget, not every athlete is going to make it to the NFL. In fact, only 1.6% of them do. For most, making a little money in college is the best opportunity they'll ever have to getting paid for doing something that they truly, truly love. And that's the reality, folks. College football isn't dying, it's evolving. NIL and the transfer portal aren't the enemies of the game, they're opportunities. Opportunities for athletes to support their families, secure their futures, and take control of their own destinies. Sure, it's different from the good old days, but change isn't always bad. For decades, schools and administrators have profited off these players' talent and their sacrifice. Now, it's their turn to benefit. And for those who think the system is broken, let me ask you this. Is it broken because the players finally have a voice? Or is it because we're seeing who's really uncomfortable with sharing the wealth? At the end of the day, the game we love is alive and well. The rivalries are still fierce. The traditions are still sacred. And Saturdays in the fall still matter just as much now as they have ever done in history. Thanks for tuning in to the Fan Life with Coach Pro, where we talk the game and live the hype. I'll catch you next time. And until then, remember, the sport doesn't die because it changes. It dies when we stop loving it. Peace.